Welcome back to the Broto Fantasy Football Podcast presented by BrotoFantasy.com. I'm your host, Tim PETROP, with my brothers, the only two twins that give you double that fantasy goodness, Michael and Jason PETROP. You can't see me right now.
Yeah, you can.
But
unless you're on YouTube.
Unless you're on YouTube.
Of course they could see you.
But I'm doing the Dirty Bird. You guys remember the Dirty Bird?
You're making Curtis Martin and DT's head shake.
Yo, Curtis Martin played during the Dirty Bird era.
Yo, we have had this bobblehead right here for ages.
And
ages.
Check us out on youtube.com/BrotoFantasy, obviously, to check this out. Today, we're going to be going over the Atlanta Falcons. Last year, they were 7-9. They welcome back offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter and with Dan Quinn in their coaches outlook. Their offensive outlook, where we look at the coaches. We know that Matt Ryan historically does not do good in the first year of an offensive system, but Dirk Cutter had been the offensive coordinator for the Falcons in the past, so there is something to be said about that. A lot to like about the Falcons this year, especially because 13 games in a dome. Their coldest game is going to be in San Francisco in December, which we have from our good fans that live out in San Francisco that came out to catch a Met game with us. Hashtag Broto fam. Hashtag the tingle. I forgot what I was going to say.
The weather in December is not
he
too
said
bad.
it sucks. I mean, the weather there is basically October because everything's 2 months behind. Like if you go to San Francisco right now, it's going to be a little cloudy, but it gets really hot in September, he says. So that's the worst weather that Matt Ryan has to play in, and everyone knows
you said feather.
That Matt Ryan. You make less and less sense every single day.
Fairly Odd Parents. Yes.
Yo, you want me to get an obscure reference to the Fairly
I thought you said
Odd
feather.
Parents?
Everyone knows that. I say it fairly often.
Oh, yeah. Everyone knows that. One thing that everyone knows is Matt Ryan is the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons.
Timmy's favorite player.
Yeah, my favorite guy. So let's get to that quarterback outlook. Look, if you listen to me, if you're a fan of me, you know that I have a history of saying that Matt Ryan is one of the most overrated, definitely not underrated, overrated players, not only now, but in the history of football. The fact that he's considered elite is beyond me.
One of your worst takes of all time.
We can get into why you're stupid and why I'm smart, but we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into why Matt Ryan is good this year, and I think his schedule and the conditions that he's playing in make him a pretty good option this year, even though he's in his opposite year where he's supposed to be bad and he has a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, he gets, like you said, a dome, 13 games out of 16, which is just basically right in Matt Ryan's wheelhouse. If you could ask for anything better, you'd ask for 16 games in a dome. But 13 is quite all right for Matt Ryan. That is where he has played his best football in his life, so obviously translates to his best fantasy games. Like you said, new OC. New OC, he usually struggles, but he has experience with Dirk Cutter. Last season, he put up 4,924 yards, 35 touchdowns. The season prior to that, 4,095 yards and 20 touchdowns. He has this on-off thing going on. He's like the Irvin Santana of the NFL, back when Irvin Santana was doing the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if he meets somewhere in the middle this season. I don't think he falls back to 2017 at all. I don't think he's as great as he was last year either. But he's still a very solid mid-QB1 option.
Just so you guys know, at home, Matt Ryan's completion percentage, better by 5 points. He has over 60 more touchdowns. His quarterback rating goes up by 7 points. His yards per attempt goes up by a half a yard.
Every quarterback.
His yard per game, I'm saying in a dome.
Except Pat Mahomes.
In a dome, not just at home. So, yeah, there you go.
Well, he's also home, so that skews it a little bit. I think Matt Ryan's just a safe bet. He threw 608 times last season. I don't know if you're going to expect him to throw that much again. He has Devonta Freeman back again. He's been a QB1 in a little bit over 50% of his games in his career. So he's gonna be.
You're saying that like it's a positive thing.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you about Matt Ryan.
It is a bad thing when you're supposed to be a franchise top 10 quarterback and you're only a QB 50% of your games. Get out of here with that.
Just over.
We're talking about fantasy.
So I think he's a mid-range back-end QB1, a little bit safe. His schedule helps him out a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a down year though.
Definitely the safe option.
Down from last year.
You're definitely drafting Matt Ryan. Like, he doesn't have the ceiling of guys like Baker Mayfield and Carson Wentz, in my opinion.
I agree.
Like, those guys could, if you get them late and they're studs, could really give you a nice boost. Matt Ryan, you're probably taking earlier, if not at the same time.
He'll be QB 6 through 12, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Let's go over to the running backs. Devonta Freeman is back Finally.
He's a free man.
This is him after 2 years. The last time we saw him in a full fantasy season, he was leading a team to a Super Bowl and being one of the best fantasy players out there. 2 years of injuries. Does that scare you away from Devonta Freeman, who's currently a really good value in like the third roundish?
Freeman is tough. He's top 10 in fantasy points per game, right? Like, if he was healthy, he'd be a first-round pick probably. The issue is that he's not healthy a lot, but also now there's other things to take into consideration. Tevin Coleman left, but Ito Smith is still there. He's not going to be the only back there. If you look at Dirk Cutter, though, what did his running backs do in Tampa Bay?
They got mad attempts. They sucked, but they got attempts.
Maybe the attempts are just exemplified by the fact that they sucked.
What? If anything,
So
it'll
you see
be
like 20 rushes, 40 yards, so it just sticks out to you a little bit more than other guys. I don't know, but Dirk Cutter's not the best offensive coordinator for running backs, and Devonta Freeman's injured basically every bone in his leg.
Even his rookie season, Dirk Cutter, when he had Devonta Freeman's rookie season, he was with Dirk Cutter. He hardly played. Yeah, and the running backs just weren't as good in Atlanta. So I agree with you. It's a little tough. The Buccaneers ran the 22nd most rush plays last season.
Yeah,
so
it's not that much.
It's a lot of rushes. What do you mean it's not that much?
22nd most out of 32 teams? No, 22nd. They were ranked 22nd out of 32.
Oh, I thought you were. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, not great. But the Falcons are also a better team, so they might be running the ball a little more with leads. But they also get the Saints, the Panthers.
Before you move on, though, Peyton Barber 9th in the league in touches last year. I mean, in rushes last year, 234. So he got the attempts.
Got work. Yeah. I'm just a little scared by the injury. Missing a whole season as a running back is never really a good thing. It might take some time. Like we saw, David Johnson was one of the most freak athletes ever that 2016 season. He missed a season. He was not the same guy last year.
You can no.
What? He was the same running back last year?
But it's not because he injured his wrist. It's not like he couldn't run anymore. He had a bad offensive line. He had a bad team around him.
But even just taking a year off, though, matters.
Hopefully it doesn't for Le'Veon Bell.
That's true, yeah. Forget everything I'm saying. Oh, we're Jets fans. Let's go Le'Veon Bell. I'm just saying, yeah, David Johnson, fine. That's a bad example because he hurt his wrist. I'm just saying he didn't play football for a whole year.
Okay,
Devonta Freeman, lower body injury is even worse. So, if anything, that's an even bigger boon.
Anything for Ito Smith besides a handcuff?
I don't think he'll have standalone.
I think he has one of the most valuable handcuffs.
Yeah.
But
he could have a flex game every now and again.
No standalone value.
Let's go to the big boy, Julio Jones. Julio Jones.
Julio.
Last year scored touchdowns. Holy moly. When I was doing that Alvin Kamara research, if you haven't seen the Saints, that was yesterday. Last week, I'm used to that. He only got the same amount of looks as Kamara, 17% of his team's looks in the red zone. So, historically, Julio Jones has not been a red zone guy, but he's a beast. If you take him as the number one wide receiver overall, no one's getting mad at you.
Yeah,
I wouldn't, but no one's getting mad at you.
But drafting Julio Jones is never a losing compromise.
Right.
Especially in PPR leagues.
He said he wants, 3,000 yards?
Yeah, he said he's going to go for 3,000 this season.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Someone I do want to talk about, or in the receivers, is Calvin Ridley. Because, look, he had an awesome rookie season last season. 64 receptions, 821 yards, 10 touchdowns as a rookie.
A lot of that happened in the first 2 weeks
great.
of the season. Though.
Yeah, but one of them, when he absolutely torched the Saints when no one could guard him, 146 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also don't want to hold him against that, the fact that he was able to torch the cornerbacks, because that speaks to his abilities. But he was extremely volatile, as is the second and third options on the Falcons basically every year. He had 5 games inside the top 20 last season, 8 outside the top 45. So useless 8 games if you had him in your starting lineup. Austin Hooper is expected to take a step up. Mohamed Sanu, still there, one of the most undervalued receivers ever.
Best quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Dude, true. Best wide receiver quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Oh, best wide receiver quarterback, yeah.
He had 700 yards in 2017, 838 yards last season.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns.
Out-yarded Calvin Ridley. So it's not like he's just going to take a back seat. He's a very, very solid receiver. And you expect Austin Hooper to take a step up. So now, where does this extra productivity that you expect from Calvin Ridley come from? Maybe eats into Julio a little bit. Maybe eats into Sanu a little bit. But I still think the volatility is going to be there. I think he will likely end as a top 24 receiver overall points. But
I wouldn't say that's likely. But that, I mean,
I'm going to get to where Michael's getting at.
That's debatable.
At his ADP of 22nd wide receiver, I'm not going to have Calvin Ridley on any of my teams.
Yeah, just because the week in, week out, trusting him is not going to be fun.
And a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people say it, but I noticed it. He played in 62% of the Falcons snaps last year, which isn't high, but he saw 92 targets.
He's going.
How many more targets do we expect him to see? With Sanu, with Hooper, with Freeman back now. He's going too high.
Yeah, and Matt Ryan had a great year last year.
That too. If we expect Ryan regression, we expect Ridley regression.
He's going in front of guys like Tyler Lockett, who I'm taking over him all day. Mike Williams.
That one's close.
That was close. Tyler Boyd, DJ Moore,
Tyler Boyd all day, every day.
Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods going before him. So he's like that tier break of wide receivers, and I'd rather have a bunch of guys over him, honestly.
Calvin Ridley ended in half PPR. Interesting. As wide receiver 18 last season.
I mean, he had a lot of big games.
Yeah, just saying.
Scored a lot of touchdowns.
It's interesting.
Let's go over to a guy that we already alluded to, the tight end position, Austin Hooper. A lot of guys are excited about Austin Hooper and is coming into his third year, expecting a breakout. He basically did a lot of his damage condensed last year. So he had big games, and then he was basically worthless. What do you think about Austin Hooper this year?
He also has the volatile nature of Falcons pass catchers not named Julio Jones.
Because Matt Ryan, what he does do well is he spreads it around.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a Drew Brees Saints thing where you have Alvin Kamara, you have Mike Thomas, but then despite the fact that they're scoring 40 points a game, you don't know where the rest of the targets are going to go. I think that's a lot of similarities over in Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But Austin Hooper, I mean, he's a decent option. He increases output from 526 to 660 yards, increases reception total up 22 to 71. 71 receptions for a tight end is solid. 4 touchdowns. I mean, if he's able to up that to 80, 805 touchdowns, he's meeting his ADP easily. It's just I don't know if that's going to be able to happen with the weapons. And people are expecting Calvin Ridley to take a step up, right? That's actually yards for Calvin Ridley. Mohamed Sanu is not going anywhere, like I said. So it's tough to find points and yards for all these players, especially if Julio's going for 3,000.
If you draft Hooper, you need a tight end with him.
Yep.
Shout out to this girl, Lindsay OKKK on Twitter. She's a big Matt Ryan hater, which is why I followed her. And Julio Jones said he's going to go for 3,000 yards this year, and she quote tweeted this. I think he's going to get 2,803.
Okay. It's
a good one.
I know who you're talking about. I'm pretty sure it's just Lindsay OK.
Oh.
I don't know where you're adding the... You're just thinking of the music?
Maybe.
Okay.
Who knows? Finally, let's go on to the next the next one, which is one injury away. Jason, you mentioned Ito Smith. Is that your one injury away?
No. I went a little deeper. Quadre Allison. 5th round rookie out of Pitt. Guess what? The guy who replaced James Conner when James Conner had his unfortunate stint with cancer. And now he's back and better than ever. Similar size to Conner. A lot of people have compared their vision and power. And big deal, something we talk about a lot that not a lot of people do. Very good pass protector. That's something that's going to get a young guy on the field. So if Freeman were to get hurt again, we saw Ito Smith last year. He's not the most explosive back on
wasn't
earth.
that impressive.
The fact not most explosive is being kind.
Yeah.
He was bad.
He was bad last year.
Quadre Allison is the guy I want.
I'm cool with that, yeah. I said Ito Smith is a very valuable handcuff. Doesn't mean I'm reaching to draft him in drafts. Because I would not be surprised if Quadre Allison ended up jumping him.
I'm looking at Calvin Ridley, man. I think Calvin Ridley has a big chance if Julio goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comes to the number 1. Yeah.
That's right. All right. If you want to hear us more, you could, just tune in tomorrow.
And check out all the previous
because we're coming
heat
at
waves.
you every single day.
That too.
Check out the rest of the heat waves. We are... we only have like 6
We're
teams
closing
left.
in.
Yeah, we're closing in. Michael, where can they find you?
Mike_Petrop.
Jason, where can they find you? You can find me at Petrop on all social media outlets, but only if you're feeling real frisky. If you are feeling kind and generous and you'd like to give us some money, we really appreciate that. And we're giving you a lot of extras in exchange, including a waiver pod, including some opportunities to talk to us through Discord and ask us some personal DMs.
Chance to play in a Broto League if you get in.
Yes, a
Before the
chance.
season starts, time's winding down.
Or if you're a little more generous, a guaranteed spot in a Broto league.
True.
So
Well, a guaranteed spot to play with us.
that's right. Guaranteed spot in a Broto league, a guaranteed spot to play with us if you do a little more. So thank you guys so much for that and everything you do. Also, make sure that you check us out on YouTube if you aren't already. YouTube.com/veteransminimum for everything Broto Fantasy. Broto Fantasy.
YouTube.com/BrotoFantasy. How many times are you going to do that? Jeez Louise.
Oh, sorry. Well, BrotoFantasy.com. Go check us out on BrotoFantasy.com. You'll find us there.
Force a habit.
See ya.
Later.